Eric, the player that I want to throw out there as maybe it's time to put him out there on the field and see what this young man can do.
I already told you, man. Francis Bernard doesn't look like he's in the best shape either. I know Leighton Vander Esch has been really struggling, but I don't know. Like, I wish we could put Cox in there. But Jabril got injured.
Well, Jabril got injured, and if Jabril wasn't, then I absolutely do think we would be putting Jabril Cox in there. But how about a fellow draft class representative of Jabril Cox?
Oh, Nishan Wright.
I think
he's made some appearances.
I think it's time for Kelvin Joseph.
Oh, my God.
I think Kelvin Joseph's time is here, and it seems like there's a little bit of momentum building for Kelvin Joseph to maybe get a bigger role down the stretch, if you ask me.
Wolchuk's hearing some whispers. Are they inching to rumblings? Have they even gotten to whispers? Is this just a Wolchuk gut full hope?
It's a gut full of hope, but it's also, if you kind of just read the tea leaves a little bit that are coming out, the little sprinkled inkles.
Hear that, Larry? You got some tea leaves
that are flowing out of the star. You know, Dan Quinn, you're starting to get little cuts of him now, talking about Kelvin Joseph and the confidence very high in him. And, you know, he's showing that he's going to be ready to play when his number's called. And, you know, Kelvin Joseph's a guy that was injured at the beginning of the year, certainly set back his timeline to be able to hit the field. Then he dealt with the passing of his uncle a few weeks ago. But Anthony Brown is a guy that week one had some struggles, then played very, very well for the majority of the season, certainly had a rough Thanksgiving Day. And I think if you were playing a better quarterback, not named Taysom Hill, that could actually throw the football, he might have had some struggles on Thursday night against the Saints as well. And Anthony Brown, and I think, you know, other Cowboy fans that have watched him throughout his career, we know he's kind of a confidence player. He goes through highs and lows with his consistency. He's solid. And Kelvin Joseph's a guy that this team clearly thought highly of. They drafted him in the second round. Not necessarily as a full-time starter just yet, but maybe it's time for him to take a couple series here and there, start to work in the rotation a little bit, especially against some speed players that you're going to be playing against Washington in Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel. This might be a nice opportunity to see what Kelvin Joseph could do out there because he can match that speed. And the Cowboys have been beat when it comes to some of these speed receivers, whether it's Deshaun Jackson or Zay Jones on Thanksgiving against the Raiders. And Kelvin Joseph happens to be one of their faster, if not their fastest corners. I kind of like the idea of him down the stretch here in December to start getting some more playing time. And let's see if Kelvin Joseph can play a little bit and help the secondary out.
I'm in on this 100%. I think the secondary needs all the reinforcements possible. I think we've seen what young, athletic freak shows can kind of do when you see a Micah Parsons, when you see a Trayvon Diggs, what those guys can, the elements that they add to your defense are really just invaluable. And so if you can get a little bit of that from Kelvin Joseph, it would be really, really nice. I think there's a lot of ambiguity surrounding just his whole season, and just it's been a little bit weird, and he's been fortunate. I was gonna bring this up about other guys around the NFL, some younger guys, but I was thinking, man, even locally, we have a guy here of guys who've just kind of skated by this year without really getting talked about too much despite their poor play. And I was doing this because I was thinking about Trevor Lawrence. Like, we don't hear anything about Trevor Lawrence. And I think it's probably the Urban Meyer factor that we're all just so, like, we're so focused on Urban Meyer and kind of making fun of him and knowing what a schmuck he is and has been this year, that Trevor Lawrence is kind of skirted by. Like, number one overall pick, every time you turn around, it's 194 yards, and he's like in the high 50s on completion percentage, and it's like one touchdown and one interception. And it's like, that's Trevor Lawrence all year. No one's really talking about it. But to, the same token, on a much smaller scale, but locally it's bigger because it's Kelvin Joseph. It's right here in our backyard. And it's kind of like you don't even really hear too much about it. It's like, what's going on? He's not playing. He starts off a little bit banged up or whatever it may be, and then he's just kind of like, where's your second round pick? And I'm very curious. And at 8 o'clock, when we get the very plugged in Bobby Belt, Let's ask him about that. Let's ask him about that.
Bobby. Let's get Bobby's input here.
What's to come, but also like what's been the deal with Kelvin Joseph this year?
And you're right in the sense of they haven't needed him, and I think that has been the biggest help to Kelvin Joseph. But I do think that, big picture here with some of these rookies, I think ideally you're looking at it to where outside of Micah Parsons, who you had a massive need for immediately, but in a perfect world, you would like to kind of slowly work these rookies in. And then once they get a little bit more acclimated, they get adjusted to the speed of the game, their offensive or defensive roles, the playbook, and being able to watch film, know what the opposing defense or offense are doing. At the later back half of the season is when maybe they start to get a little bit more reps, a little bit more playing time. I think that was going to be the plan with Jabril Cox. Unfortunately, he got hurt. But now Kelvin Joseph's healthy, and he's available, and he's been playing special teams. I think now might be the time to get him out there in the secondary a little bit more. And I do agree with the text from the 254 with a strong defensive line, and this is something I talked to you about, that I'm excited to get Neville Gallimore back. And, you talk about getting Randy Gregory back already with Tank having come back. The potential...
Tristan Hill even.
Tristan Hill coming back from the one-game suspension 100%. With the potential of that defensive front, that should help the back half in the secondary as well, which I do still have some concerns about because we have seen even Trayvon Diggs at times with how great he's been with the interceptions, and the double moves have hurt him at times this year, and they have been a little bit susceptible to giving up the big play down the field.
Yeah, it's definitely fair. And the 9-4-0 is he really that good though in terms of Kelvin Joseph?
We need to find that out.
Definitely.
Does this team need to still draft a corner?
Right.
And we kind of need to figure out, can Kelvin Joseph play? And we won't know unless you get him on the field and see what he can do.
He was a second-round pick for a reason. Highly touted dude. So, all signs point to there's ability in there, but will it come out on the field? There's so many variables involved, but it'd be nice to know. And you'd also like to do it. You don't want him to just have to get thrown into the fire.
Yes.
Versus Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs.
100%.
Because, oh my gosh, down goes Jordan Lewis or down goes Anthony Brown or whatever it is.
Right, and that's why I like the rotational aspect of it. You don't have to just bench Anthony Brown. I'm not saying he needs to start immediately, but a couple series here and there. Let's rotate Kelvin Joseph in, especially with Jordan Lewis being a little bit banged up. We were talking with Kyle Yeomans about that last night. Maybe it's time to get him a little more reps, see how he looks out there.